The reality about white privilege is that white privilege does exist. That is the reality. The African American man has always been public enemy number one. Why do I have to be an athlete or an entertainer in order to make it out or to be successful? All right, that's thing number one. We are targeted. After they abolished slavery, then they said if you were a warden of the state, then by you being a warden of the state, you now get your rights taken from you. And that has not changed. It is by the grace of Jehovah God himself that I am not a felon. It is by the grace of God. Because as an African American man that looks like me, that talks like me, that is as big as I am, 6'4", that's extremely unapologetic as I am, we are targeted. We are 7 times more likely to be arrested for a felony than a Caucasian individual. Facts. Because society has never really been designed for us to include us. But I'm talking about the truth about white privilege. The reality is that white privilege exists, but the truth is that it does not have to stop you. For the African American man, that is not you. You have the ability to create wealth where you are. You have the ability to create and change generations. There is greatness inside every single melanin man's skin and in his DNA and his bones to where you can create greatness, so much so that's why we are oppressed. You never oppress someone that's not a threat to you. But there are a certain group of people that cannot work while the moon is out. They can only work while it's daytime. The exact same thing about white privilege. The reality is that white privilege does exist. Yes, it does. Let me break down for you the history of white privilege and how it does exist. The Civil Rights Movement ended in 1968, all right? In 1968, the Civil Rights Movement ended. Now I'm just speaking facts. I'm just talking about the reality. 1968, the Civil Rights Movement ended. In 1961, affirmative action began. Now, as an African American man, affirmative action was really social engineering against the African American man. I agree, hope is good, but the #1 best-selling book of all time says hope deferred makes the heart grow sick. And instead of empowering us, what they'll do is they will placate us and they will just entertain us, but this we're going to be empowered because this is all about education and empowerment. 1971, the Internal Revenue Service created the EIN, which stands for Employee Identification Number. You cannot separate yourself, your identity from your business up until 1971. So anybody that was an entrepreneur in the 70s, and what they'll do is they'll tell you that, oh, it's impossible to get a loan, or you can never get a loan as a black person. You can never get a loan. The fact is that was true. Notice the case was. That was true up until 1971. You would be marginalized based on your social security number. Remember the war against the North against the South. You know how racist and how bigoted people can be. North against the South, the East against the West. What do you think that comes from? So what will happen is that on a profile or on someone's social security number, they will look on the profile and the first 3 numbers will let me know if you're a Yankee or if you're a Southerner. It'll let me know, depending on the states, where do most African Americans reside? In the Southeast. So if I am looking at a credit profile, your group number determine the class of people that you were a part of. This was derived from individuals that were working in labor jobs. If they came from an area that was very heavy, dense when it comes to plants and factories and whatnot, because that was the working class area. So based on that information, what they would do is they would target and marginalize based on that area. So I said all of that to say this. So when people would say that you walk into the bank and you're instantly denied because you were black, possibly could be true. Let's break it down a little bit more. We're speaking facts, all right? 1968 was when civil rights ended. 1971 was when they created the EIN number. The Fair Credit Reporting Act did not come into existence until 1974. Most people don't know this, but Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, they would pay their employees bonuses to get as much slanderous information against individuals as possible. So much so that Congress passed the law, the FCRA, which stands for the Fair Credit Reporting Act, to where now Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian would not be able to gain information that would damage your character. Now, this is the caveat. Equifax violated the FCRA as soon as it was enacted. As soon as it was enacted, they continued to violate it because the systems does not change. So the reality is this: when you are dealing with the basic systems of the credit agencies and you're dealing with the basic systems, yes, white privilege does exist. You would get a loan based on the area that you were from. You would get a loan based on of your sex, of your ethnicity, and your ethnos, if you did not build business credit the proper way. And that's the reason why it's very important for us to know who we are and act like who we are. This information is for that young man who knows how to buy a bale and break it down and hire employees and get distributors. Young man, the same way that you can break down a quarter key, you can also break down Sprite bottles. You can break down real estate. You can break down apparel. You can break down cars. You can break down the trucking industry. You can break down the commercial real estate industry. You can break down the insurance industry. What am I saying? The same mentality, the same discipline, the same creativity. So if you have the ingenuity to be able to buy low and sell high, why not do that with real estate? Why not do that with cars? Why not do that with rims? If you refocus the energy that you have into something that is creative, something that you can pass down to your generations, the same type of energy, the same type of tenacity, the same type of ingenuity that it takes to be successful in that game, you can rebottle it and reposition it into anything that you really want, anything that you really desire. Look at this. Every single successful rapper nowadays, when they come up, what do? Go into what? Business, commerce. Because they use the rapping game as a tool to build a real business. What Jay-Z say? He said, I'm not a businessman, I'm a business man. You have the ability to do the exact same thing. So people say, oh, I don't know how to do it, or oh, it's so hard. Guess what? Learn it. Anything you don't know, you can learn. The reality is that it does exist, but the truth is that it won't stop you. Stay encouraged and be encouraged. And that God-given talent that you have, develop that God-given talent that you have and create wealth from it. The only person stopping you from being successful is you. If you don't know how to do it, learn it. If you don't know the person, meet them. If you don't have the skill, develop it. You are a creator. You can either make changes or you can make excuses, but you cannot make both. Protect your dream from people who feel inferior by your goals. Find other like-minded people to connect with other like-minded people. When you connect with other like-minded people, then you can cross-pollinate and then you can get the advantage. If you don't know them, meet them. Successful people like to see other successful people. Broke, miserable people like to keep other broke, miserable people around them. That's just truth. It just is. So, as you develop the king in you or the queen in you, as you develop the greatness inside of you and you achieve your goals, you have to protect what you have. Keep all negativity away from you. After you protect what you have, then you have to position yourself. Link up with other like-minded people people who can give you opportunities, people who want to see you succeed because they're succeeding, people who don't have that crab-like mentality. I declare that you come up with ideas and winning inventions. I declare that you reach people and meet people that's going to give you the advantage and not take the advantage. I declare that you're going to come across an opportunity. I declare that you're going to have a sleepless night, and that sleepless night is going to do nothing but feed you with nothing but the steps that you need to take for you to be successful. I declare success is over you. Everything you do will prosper, and that the fear will eventually subside, and your faith will run over, and it will fuel your future. You guys have a good night. Go get them. Success is waiting for you.